Some movie endings hit you like a punch in the gut, and Sinners is one of them. Directed by Coogler, this vampire horror flick is more than just blood and fangs. It's about identity, race, loss, and most importantly, family. Even though many fans were divided on the movie's post-credits scene, that final moment quietly packs an emotional blow that ties everything together. Some viewers felt it didn't match the rest of the film. Others thought it should have ended earlier. But if you really pay attention, that one heartbreaking line in the final scene makes the entire journey worth it. Sinners is now streaming on Max, and watching it a second time makes you realize how deep it really is. Sure, it's filled with brutal action and supernatural scares, but its core message revolves around community and connection, something a lot of horror movies skip out on. This emotional depth is what makes the final scene, especially that one quiet moment between two old friends, hit so hard. It's not flashy or violent like the rest of the movie. It's just two people talking, but the pain in their words says everything. Let's rewind to the end of the movie. By the time Sinners is wrapping up, things are falling apart. Smoke and Stack, once closer than brothers, are battling it out in the infamous Club Juke. Meanwhile, outside, Remick is wreaking havoc, and Sammy is doing everything he can to survive. It's a mess of chaos, heartbreak, and betrayal. What makes the final moments inside Club Juke so gut-wrenching is the emotion behind the action. Even though Stack has become a vampire, Smoke can't bring himself to kill him. Their bond is too strong. Smoke lets Stack go, and no one, not even Sammy, ever finds out. For decades, Sammy lives believing that Stack burned along with the other vampires when the sun rose that day. He never knew his friend got away. And honestly, most of the audience probably assumed the same. That's what makes the post-credits scene such a punch to the chest, and why it's more than just a teaser for a sequel. The post-credits scene skips ahead 60 years to 1992. A lot has changed. Sammy is now an old musician running his own club. Stack, still a vampire, walks in with Mary. That in itself is shocking. Both of them survived and are still alive decades later. The scene doesn't rely on action or horror. It's quiet and bittersweet. They talk like old friends, but there's a tension beneath their words. Then Sammy drops a heartbreaking bombshell. The day of the Club Juke massacre was the best day of his life. First, it sounds crazy. How could a night of terror and death be remembered fondly? But Sammy isn't talking about the violence. He's talking about what came before it, the sense of togetherness, the music, the dancing, the community. That was the last time they all felt like they belonged somewhere. Before the vampires came and shattered it all. Stack listens quietly and responds with something even sadder. He says that day was also the last time he saw his brother, and the last time he saw the sun. That line alone hits like a freight train. In one sentence, Stack reminds us that he didn't just lose his humanity. He lost everything that made life meaningful. He may be immortal now, but he carries a deep, never-ending grief. This is why the post-credits scene is so important. Without it, Stack's story would have ended in silence. Smoke would have died believing he lost his brother to the darkness. And Sammy would have lived without knowing the full truth. But this final conversation, short and soft-spoken, gives us a different kind of closure. It shows that even monsters can mourn. Even vampires can carry guilt and sorrow. Still, not everyone loved this ending. Online forums and social media lit up with debates. Some fans felt the post-credits scene wasn't needed. They argued that the movie's original ending, with Sammy surviving the massacre, was more powerful on its own. They felt the time jump to 1992 broke the flow and tone of the film. After all, Sinners is mostly set in the 1930s, suddenly leaping forward 60 years into a more modern, neon-lit setting threw some people off. Others didn't buy Stack and Mary's transformation. In the main film, they were terrifying. They were all about converting humans into vampires, and Mary even threatened to kill the survivors. So when the post-credits scene shows them calmly visiting Sammy, it feels like a complete turnaround. Some viewers saw it as unrealistic, even inconsistent. But here's where things get interesting: time changes people. Or in this case, vampires. Stack and Mary have had 6 full decades to process everything. To grow. To understand what they became and what they lost. It's not crazy to think that they mellowed out or developed some control over their darker instincts. Just like humans evolve, so do the undead. Their respect towards Sammy isn't fake. It's a reflection of how far they've come. This makes that single line from Stack even more powerful. He doesn't blame anyone. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He just quietly confesses that he still thinks about the last day he saw the son and his brother. That moment gives the movie a soul. It's the emotional heartbeat that echoes long after the credits stop rolling. Sammy, Smoke, and Stack were once inseparable, but fate tore them apart in the most violent way possible. The movie shows the physical side of that violence, the fighting, the blood, the horror. But the post-credits scene shows the emotional side. The weight of memories, the ghosts of loved ones, and the ache of time. Ryan Coogler crafted Sinners not just as a vampire movie, but as a layered story about the ties that bind people together. Family, friendship, music, and culture. All of these threads run through the film. And the post-credits scene is where it all comes full circle. The community that once existed in Club Juke is gone, but its memory lives on in Sammy and Stack. That's why Sammy says it was the best day of his life. That's why Stack says it was his last real moment as a human. Without this scene, Sinners wouldn't feel complete. Smoke's sacrifice would feel empty. Stack's grief would go unseen. And the theme of community, which the whole film builds toward, would lose its final note. That one heartbreaking line ties everything together like a song's final chord. Quiet, haunting, unforgettable. Whether you like the post-credits scene or not, it's impossible to deny the emotional punch it delivers. It's not about setting up a sequel or shocking the audience. It's about showing that even in a world full of monsters, what matters most is who we were. And who we lost before everything changed.